3 days after my husband died of brain cancer, my family had Thanksgiving dinner. I'm Nora McInerny. I'm an author, I'm a podcaster, and I'm going to get ready and try to convince you that holidays are optional, or at least forced holiday cheer is optional. The year was 2014. I was 31 years old. My husband, Aaron, had died on November 25th. He had been, I'm not going to say fighting, I'm not going to say battling, but he had been treated for brain cancer for 3 years. And oh boy, if you've ever seen brain cancer up close, you know that it is not a peaceful death. It is horrifying. And the last few weeks of his life when he was on hospice, I was his main caretaker. And yes, it was horrifying, and it was also holy and beautiful. One of the most transformative experiences I had ever had. Aaron's death was not shocking, but any death, especially when somebody dies at age 35, when you have a 22-month-old, is still a shock, if that makes sense. Aaron also happened to die after my dad. Geez, copycat much? But Aaron was sick first. My dad got sick second. My dad had died in early October. My dad had actually died 5 days after I'd lost my second pregnancy. Look, it had been just a lot. My family gathered at my mom's house 3 days after Aaron died for Thanksgiving dinner, and we really tried to be a normal family. We really tried to have Thanksgiving. We didn't cook. People had volunteered to cook Thanksgiving and bring it to our family, but we did what we normally did. We all dressed really well. We sat around my mother's beautiful table. We used the good china, and we tried to pretend like we were who we had been before. We tried to pretend that there weren't 2 empty seats at the table. We tried to pretend like we hadn't all just been through something extremely traumatic. I wasn't feeling particularly thankful. I mean, the point of Thanksgiving is right there in the name, right? You will sit down, you will be grateful. And I understand the importance of gratitude. I certainly felt gratitude in Aaron's illness. I felt it after his death, but I do not like gratitude used as a sort of blunt object meant to bludgeon you out of feeling sad, feeling hurt, feeling any kind of feeling. And that's kind of what gratitude does in a lot of instances. Anyways, we tried to be grateful, even though I was not particularly grateful for the pile of medical bills. I was not particularly grateful for a 22-month-old child who kept asking where Papa was and then looking under the couch as though his 6'4" dad had wedged himself underneath a piece of IKEA furniture. I wish he had. Honestly, if anyone could prank us and pretend to die of brain cancer, it was Aaron. And if you are out there and you're going to come back, you got me, buddy. You got me. I'm going to LOL so hard if you decide on your 10-year death anniversary to pop back up. All is forgiven. All is forgiven. Yes, I'm remarried, but I feel like we could all make it work. That dinner was miserable. That was the worst Thanksgiving ever, and it was always going to be the worst Thanksgiving ever. It was worse than the year where our dog got onto the stove and ate our turkey. It was worse than the year our dog peed on my dad. Nope, that was Christmas. Our dog ruined a lot of holidays. It was not a good Thanksgiving because we were all pretending. We were all faking. We were all acting as though nothing had happened, and we were the family that we had been. And we weren't. I don't regret spending that Thanksgiving with my family. That's who I wanted to be around, but I do regret how we spent it. It was so stilted. It was so false. We went through all the motions instead of doing what we needed to do. At one point in time, I left the table, sat in the bathroom, and just scrolled on Tumblr for hours. I remember my mom coming up to me on the couch and saying, "Could you put your phone down and be with us?" And I snapped. I looked up at her and I was like, actually, I can't put my phone down. Actually, I can't be here. I can't do this. I don't want to do any of this. I want to just scroll Tumblr and disassociate because I don't want to be here. I don't want to be in this version of my life. Do you mind? If you'd been outside on the street looking in at our family, we would have looked so normal. There's a full meal, so many kinds of potatoes. We're Irish. Potatoes are kind of like the building block of our DNA. Several kinds of pie that matched all of our many dietary restrictions. Kids running all around, but we were not okay. We were not a normal family. This performance had not made us feel closer to each other. It had made us feel further apart. What we needed in that moment was not the performance of gratitude, we needed to be real. We needed to be real with ourselves, and we needed to be real with each other. But instead, we just sort of faked our way through that night. And in the days that followed in our group chat, we confessed to each other just how crappy that had felt. I ended up making a podcast episode about that. I'll link it in the show description. I ended up writing an entire op-ed for the New York Times, boop, here it is, about this day, because it was so profoundly damaging, because you cannot fake it till you make it. You have to feel your feelings. You can't run from them. Like eventually, like you deal with them or they deal with you. Grief is a sneaky B word. She is so fast. She is so stealthy. She is like a track star. She's a runner. She's a track star. She's gonna get you, baby. Whatever you are feeling needs to be felt, even if it's Thanksgiving, even if it's Christmas, even if it's your birthday or somebody else's birthday. The point is that you can't use gratitude as an eraser. You can't use gratitude as a show of force. This sort of performance of gratitude and Thanksgiving had not eased our grief in any way. It had amplified it. It had made all of us feel infinitely lonelier, because what we needed to do was to acknowledge this intense pain and loss that we were all carrying around with us. That was what had filled those 2 empty chairs at that dinner. What I wish we'd done that first Thanksgiving was create a holiday that matched the family we were in that moment. We weren't the family that we had been the year before or the year before that or 10 years before that, and we never would be again. Traditions can change, and in fact, I think that they should. And I'm not saying that we could never, ever have Thanksgiving again, but we could have done anything. I did not realize how optional all of this is. We could have just laid on the floor and watched movies. We could have just sat around in a circle, ordered pizza, put a movie on for the kids, and then all the grownups would have gone in a room and drank wine and cried. Okay, there were options and we just didn't see them. So we all just sat around trying to pretend, and it didn't work at all because I guess we're just not that good of actors. Sorry to my family. I wish that we had had the guts to just say how terrible it was. I wish that we had just admitted like none of us were feeling grateful. I wish that we had just opted out of that year's holiday season instead of just pretending like it was all okay. In the years since, our traditions have changed. I've remarried. I have, this new version of my family. And guess what? This family also does not love Thanksgiving. Aaron's death anniversary will always coincide with Thanksgiving week, always. In 3 years, on his 13th death anniversary, it will fall on Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is just not for me anymore. I don't like it. And honestly, I never did. I don't want to munch a dry ass bird. Ew, it's just so gross. I like potatoes and that's it. So we make our own Thanksgiving traditions now. My family right now, as you see this, we're in Las Vegas, baby. Why? I don't know, because it's like a short drive from Phoenix and no one else is really there. And you can go and have a wonderful steak dinner at Tom Colicchio's and dress up and make your own traditions. That is the point. The point is that you don't have to fake it through Thanksgiving. You don't have to fake it through Christmas. You are allowed to make new traditions for yourself. You are allowed to press pause on traditions. You are allowed to say, I am just not feeling it right now. Some people are going to hate that. Let them hate it. Let them hate it. Let them not understand it, because you understand that fake it till you make it is not a healthy emotional coping strategy. Trust me on that one. You can eat a meal of Thanksgiving or gratitude or whatever whenever you want to. Your feelings don't care about your social calendar. And by the way, the social calendar is made up. It's made up. And you can make up your own holidays. I know no one wants to be a bummer. I know that nobody wants to put roots down in Sadville, USA. But the thing is, you got to go through it sometimes. You have to go through it. Your grief, your gratitude, they do not cancel each other out. You need to make space at the table for both of them. Or maybe this year, just one of them. I don't know. I'm not the boss. I'm not the boss of you. The point is, if you are not feeling the holiday cheer today, this month, next month, you're not alone. It's not just you. It's a lot. Happy Thanksgiving, or not, or just no Thanksgiving. I don't know. Also, don't try to rob me. There's someone staying at my house. So good luck.